So can we go to the second slide? Can we go to the second slide? So it says intentional teacher. And if there are people there and you can communicate via the chat box, let me know your opinion. Who is an intentional teacher? What is an intentional teacher supposed to do? And why is it important that we are intentional as teachers? So if there are people online, it would be good to know your view. Let's make it a little bit interactive. Let's make the session interactive. What's your opinion of an intentional teacher, and why is it important to be an intentional teacher? Can we have the next slide? So it's quite easy to be an intentional teacher. However, we don't have many people that are intentional about the work that they do. Yet I'm saying it's easy to be an intentional teacher. Now, this slide was, I've had this particular set of slides for many, many years, and it started as a star teacher. Are you a star teacher or that teacher? So what I've just done today has just been to change the word star teacher to intentional, being an intentional teacher. So a star teacher is an intentional teacher. So if you hear me say star teacher, or I talk about that teacher or other teacher or ordinary teacher, then you know that I'm talking about something that's like absolutely, completely in contrast to what an intentional teacher should be. Emilia O'Neill says, as an intentional teacher, you have to know the reasons for everything that you do. Yes, you have to know your why. It's important that we know our why. Many will only be remembered as that teacher, someone that worked. There are people that have worked in organizations, they've come and they've gone and no one even remembers who they are. Today, we'll be talking about what it is to be an intentional teacher. An intentional teacher cannot be forgotten. I like to cite the example of my biology teacher in secondary school. I was probably like a teenager, 12, 13, 14-year-old. And today I'm in my 40s and she's still a part of my life. While I'm not saying that you have to be the part of your pupils or students' life forever, she's not easily forgettable. That's being an intentional teacher. An intentional teacher goes over and beyond a job description. So what stops many people from being intentional about the work that they do? So the next slide. There's some qualities of an intentional teacher. You have to be passionate about excellence, the things that you do. You have to be passionate. You can't call yourself an intentional teacher and come late to work, not have lesson plans. You're not organized. There's no classroom management going on in your classroom. Even now that we're having this meeting, if you're intentional, your mindset, your frame of mind at this particular time, knowing that schools are going to resume any moment from now, you should already be thinking about your pupils, your classroom, your deliverables, your outcome, the things that you want to achieve this term by the end of this academic session in July and even till December. What are those things that you want to achieve? What are your long-term plans, short-term and medium-term plans? You should have that as an individual because there should be personal leadership as an intentional teacher. And then you should also have your goal set for your classroom, for the work that you're doing. An intentional teacher is very committed, very dedicated to the work that they do. They're not the sort of teachers that January has come now, they're already looking for another school to join. They're not committed. When they tell them off in one environment, they are unteachable. They're already jumping to another school, jumping. They're not rooted and they're not grounded. So they don't flourish wherever they find themselves. An intentional teacher is very professional in all that they do. So they're not the types that are they're eating or chewing anyhow, or don't dress properly to the classroom, or they're rude. There is a way that you must behave. There's a code of conduct as an educator, as a teacher. You must have integrity and you must have accountability for the things that you do. Something can happen in your class and you say you don't know what happened. I don't know when it happened. I don't know how it happened. It just happened. You have to be accountable for everything that happens in your classroom, and you have to do things with integrity. And that essentially means that even when you're not being watched by the camera or by the leadership in your school, you're still doing what is right. You don't even have to check your lesson notes or your lesson plans before you do it. You shouldn't be forced to do the work that you do as an intentional teacher. And a teacher is also very patient. Patient with pupils, patient with management, patient with the work that they do. They are patient because they know that it takes time to grow. It takes time for things to flourish. So they are patient. And they have a positive mental attitude. They're positive about the things that they do. They use their affirmations. They speak to themselves. Already this year, they're already telling themselves, I'm going to do a good job this year. This is what I'm going to achieve. The children in my school, that in my classroom that have X, Y, and Z challenges, I'm going to work on them. I'm going to ensure that there's change in my classroom. There's growth over and beyond, I keep saying, what has been set for the children, for the pupils in your classroom to do. So let me have the next slide, please. So, and general teacher adds value over and beyond expectation. So some people will come and what they're doing is they're just waiting for 3 or 4 o'clock before they go home. That is just their goal. They come in and they're just waiting to go. Their mind is not there. Now, the idea is not for you to be in the classroom forever and forever and forever. That's not the point. The point is that if you need to be there at a particular time till 6 o'clock, then so be it, as long as you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Yes, there's traffic. Yes, there are issues, there are challenges in the country, but we just have to make the most of it. And we must understand that when there are problems, there are opportunities. I'll say that again. That when there are problems, there are opportunities. So instead of you be looking for how to japa and saying to yourself, oh, my life is over, things are never going to be great, I have to get out of this country before things are great. Right now, they're doing work permits for teachers, and you're thinking, how am I ever going to get my flight tickets money together so I can get out of this country? If you cannot be intentional here, you will go to another country and you still not be intentional. You have to have that work ethic. It just has to be who you are, an intentional human being. If you can flourish and if you can do well in one area or one nation, then you will take that same behavior to another nation. And that's why you find that many Nigerians, not all, when they go to another country, they behave well. And when they do, they get paid well, they are remunerated well because they follow process, they follow systems, and there's a culture of professionalism. Then many are here, they cannot do that. They just believe it's not what they should be doing. Their minds are everywhere. They're thinking of what to sell. The bed sheets they're going to sell, the human hair they're going to sell to get extra income. It is good to get extra income, but if you don't focus on your core, if you don't focus on something, then you are going to have scattered seed. You're going to be scattered all around. It's like birthing different babies all around and not nurturing them very well. You have to fan the flame for it to catch fire. You have to fan the flame for it to catch fire. So you have to add value wherever you are. You focus on the pupils in your class or the students. You have to be really focused on the work that you are doing. Plan it out. If you fail to plan this 2023, then you plan to fail. If you fail to plan already, then you're planning to fail. It's like going to war and not knowing which ammunition to take. You go and fight the enemy and you go with cutlasses and you go there and you find that they have machine guns, AK-47s and all sorts of things. So you must plan. You must research. You must be someone that loves to read and research. Which book have you set aside to read this year already? I'm reading a book called Lighter by a guy called Young Paulo. I hope I pronounce it well, but it's called Lighter. I mean, it's not an education book, so to speak. However, because I read over and beyond anything that is education, because you learn from different areas, from different sectors. But that's what I'm reading, and I'm constantly reading. I don't think there's a week that goes by that I'm not reading a book or a summary or some kind of audio. And I recommend that you do. YouTube has summaries, it has audios. You can listen to it on your way to work. You can download a book and listen and, read a book on your way to, if you say, oh, I'm in a public vehicle and I can't read a book, put your audio on and listen and grow. Because what you feed, the eyes and ears are the gateway to the heart. What you feed is what's going to come out of you. So you must have the goals for each pupil in your class. What do you want to achieve? That child that comes late to school, or that child that's never needs, or that child that doesn't eat their food, or doesn't complete their work on time, or the handwriting is poor, are you going to set a goal to ensure that those things are achieved? So you must have those goals. I've talked about that. Now, as an educator, for those that are online, I would like for you to add yours below. What are those things that you can do to add value to the school in which you work and also to your classroom. So feel free to drop those in the chat box. The next slide, please. How can you add value to a school? Ask yourself some questions and use the chat box, guys. If you're there, you're free to use the chat box and we will engage. Yes, self-development training. Yes, it's good. I want to pronounce your name, but I don't want to get it wrong. Torkwase. I hope I got it. I've been meaning to call your name, but I just don't like to ruin people's name. Let me know if I did get it right. Otherwise, I try again. Torkwase. So how can you add value? I asked. So feel free. Oh, good. Thank you. How can you add value? Tell me how else you can add value. So you do self-development. Yes. So you develop yourself in spirit, in soul, and in body. You find a lot of Nigerians, all they want to do is go to church, but they behave contrary to what they have learned in the church. They're not emotionally intelligent in any way. Emotional intelligence, anger management, all those sort of things are very important things that you should do. So there should be a place for self-development and professional development that has to do with the work that you do as a teacher, as an educator. So it's very important that you have both sides being well fed. So you're feeding your own self and you're also feeding your career, so to speak. So when you leave your school, are the pupils going to miss you? When you leave where you're working, are you going to be forgotten? Are they even going to beg for you to stay? Are they going to offer you an incentive to get you to stay, or within the week you are already replaced and your history? If you're easily forgettable like that, then you're not an intentional teacher. If you're easily forgettable, you are not an intentional teacher. How long would they miss you for? I mean, I had a teacher, Miss Tony, I talk about her a lot online. She's currently in the UK. And we are still in touch with her. Sometimes we just put the video call on. She wants to speak to the pupils, see how they are doing. She gets involved in our graduation, and she's just doing it pro bono just because of the love of the school and the pupils that she started to work with before she left. And she spent a significant number of years at La Poche before she left us. So would the parents care if you leave? Would they even notice that you have left the school? Let's have the next slide. Thank you. So that teacher, so if you're just that ordinary teacher, you cannot give what you do not have. So if you have not poured into yourself, you essentially not have anything to give of others. If I don't have anything that I've fed myself with or have learned over the years, then there's absolutely nothing that I have to tell you today. You must have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. You must have a growth mindset. You must say to yourself, irrespective of the economic situation, irrespective of the upcoming election or whatever, irrespective of the high prices of so many things in the country right now, I will still grow. I will still thrive. I will still seek opportunities. My classroom is still going to be great, and the turnout of my pupils, the students, they are going to do an amazing job, irrespective of what is happening all around me. You must build capacity. Building capacity is in terms of your self-development and your professional development. And I keep telling people, you must read. If you're not reading, you're not growing. You're essentially dying. You must read. You must learn. You must expand your mind. You must travel. And travel is not only when you get on a plane and get somewhere. You must travel through books. Travel online. Watch videos that matter. Say to yourself, I'm not going to watch any of these movies. Take a break from Netflix, take a break from Nollywood and all those things, and just renew your mind. Even if you use January to do that, just chill and renew your mind. Be mindful, practice mindfulness, breathing exercises, do some exercises, go on a walk, drop off maybe a stop or two before your actual destination and take a walk and reflect, think. You must build your inner man. A candle must light the others around them. And in doing so, you do not lose your own fire. You must be the change that you want to see in the school that you work in. You should not keep complaining. Don't be amongst those that are complaining and complaining. Like I said, when there's a problem, it's an opportunity as well. So if there's a problem in your school and you feel there's something going on, what can you do to be the light in that environment, to bring change in that environment? That is what you should seek to do. You must extend yourself. So let's go to the next slide, please. Now we talk about diction enhancement. I know Kosi speaks nicely. I like how she speaks. I like how she did the introduction. So if you are actually even good at speaking very well, say public speaking, or you can look for other things that you can do with that skill. So you can do voiceover for people in the educational sector as well. You know, you can still be in the educational sector and monetize, because I know everybody is all about money, money, money these days. But you don't have to leave your classroom to become a multimillionaire. Again, you don't have to leave your classroom to become a multimillionaire. You can partner with your school. If your heart is right, your attitude is right, you can partner with your school. Imagine if you speak very well. Let's use this diction again. And you're the one that is hosting all the events in the school. You're the one that's speaking for them publicly, online, on air, on radio, on TV. You can partner with your school, some kind of agreement, some kind of contract, and you will get an additional income for that sort of thing. You don't have to leave the educational sector. I keep saying it. And you don't have to set up a school. The value chain for education, last I checked, there's 106 different things that you can do in the educational sector and still thrive. Embrace technology. I keep saying it, embrace technology. Gone are the days when it was Word, PowerPoint, and Excel that you had to know how to use. It has gone beyond that. We are here using StreamYard. We are here using StreamYard, and we are able to reach a global audience right now. People are going to watch this in years to come because of technology. So we must ensure that we embrace technology in different ways. We must be creative, creative about the things that we do, the slides that we create. What sort of slides are you creating? Is it all white and black every day? Can it be interesting? I'm not saying it should be colorful, so colorful and unprofessional. I love colors, so I'm not a black and white person all the time. But there are days when I use black and white, depending on my audience. Be creative. What can you do to improve your teaching? So if you're teaching, let's say, what topic can I say? If you're teaching, maybe, let's say, landforms, for example, how can you teach landforms without using a video and without just speaking using charts? How can you teach landforms? Can you go to the sand pit in your school and the children can actually create those landforms? And in doing so, because they are doing it, it is becoming more concrete. They are learning it and it's staying with them. You have to be creative about everything you do, especially how you engage the children. They get easily bored because many of them are hooked on technology. They see so much online these days, and then they come to class and it's so boring. So you must ensure that you are creative. Now, the classroom is not an environment where you entertain children, but there must be an element of creativity, fun in your classroom, because the work of a child is play, as we know, as Montessori has said also. So we must ensure that we engage them in constructive ways, in creative ways, and in fun ways. If you collaborate with other people, collaborate with your school, collaborate online with other educators, you will go further. I'm here because this is a collaboration between myself and Kosi and the work that she's doing. If you collaborate, you build good networks and good relationships with people, then you go further. Not anyone will call me and tell me on the 3rd of January I want to speak to an audience. I have very few people that can do that. And I'll just leave everything that I'm doing. I'm still in the Christmas spirit, by the way. It hasn't finished. Yesterday, I was still at Wonderland with a bunch of children. We're eating good food, having fun, and taking pictures all around. So I would actually like to sleep, but it is cozy. We've built a relationship over the years, and I will be happy to grace her audience with my presence. Now, communication is very important. How do you communicate? Not only in the classroom. You find a lot of people can communicate with the pupils in the classroom, and then they go up and set up schools or businesses, and they don't cope. They don't even have good customer service skills. Why? Because they don't know how to. So just talking alone is not communication. It has to be effective. You must learn to communicate effectively with the pupils in your class at that level. You must also be able to communicate with management, with parents, with different people. You must think critically. As you know, and you might have figured out already, I'm talking about the 4 critical C's of the 21st century. So thinking critically, being creative, communicating, and collaborating are very, very important. A lot of the troubles that we have, if we do think critically, then we will be able to solve those problems. You must be a lifelong learner. You can't exist and not read. You must be a problem solver. What are those problems that you can solve? Even the pupils and the students in your class, you're raising them to be problem solvers. You shouldn't do for a child what a child can do for himself. You shouldn't make decisions for them when they are able to do it for themselves, even if they're stacking toys. As long as they are doing it, let them make the mistakes. And it's in doing those mistakes that they learn, and you empower them. You build their confidence, their self-esteem, and their more resilience with the things that they do. Do not do for a child what a child can do for himself. It doesn't matter your opinion. As they grow up, you must give them choices. It's important that children have choices and they make the decisions, because they're going to go out there and have to make decisions. If your pupils or your students or your children keep going back to you, asking you all the time, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? Can I do that? Then you have failed. You haven't done a good job raising them or teaching them, because you haven't empowered them to make the right decision. And they go into the corporate organization, they still can't make decisions without asking all the time. They must be able to make certain decisions by themselves. And you must ensure that there's ongoing personal and professional development. Thank you. Now, can I have next slide? Now, what makes us that teacher, that ordinary teacher, that teacher that is easily forgotten? What makes you forgettable as a parent? What makes you forgettable as a teacher? There are three things that make up an individual. Three things, three components that make up an individual. Our upbringing, very, very important. How were you raised as an individual? What are the things that your parents did to you? They may have done it, they may have assumed they did it out of love, but it might have messed you up significantly. The environment in which you lived and the significant emotional experiences. Some people had significant emotional experiences that were positive, and some had significant emotional experiences that were negative. What are those significant emotional experiences that you had? Some people had childhood trauma. They were beaten, they were abused, they were bullied, they were raped, and all sorts of things happened to people. These are the things that make up an individual, including a teacher. And if you bring your mess into the classroom, then you will mess up the pupils in your care. So one teacher can mess up the life of the pupils in their classroom by the words that they say, by their actions or inactions. They can actually mess up a child. So you must make sure that you are intentional. We can decide to play the blame game or make the most of the situation. You can say, oh, this is what my own teachers did when I was growing up. This is how they raised me. This is what they did to me. I'm this way. I shout a lot because X, Y, and Z. That is you not being at cause, but being at effect, which we will cover shortly. Can I have the next slide, please? So we talk about mindset challenges, what we think, not having a growth mindset, but a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset, you're kind of like not growing, not wanting to change the things that you do, not wanting to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And we know that we're teaching in a hostile environment. Nigeria itself is a hostile environment. And I commend those of us that live in Nigeria. And we are still doing our best. And we must do our best, because whatever God has entrusted us with, we must do it with all our heart, with all our might. So even if you want to Japan, whilst you're still here, you must ensure that you put in your best, irrespective of the environmental challenges. So make a choice to be at cause and not effect. So when you're at cause, it essentially means that you are taking responsibility for your actions. You're not blaming your upbringing. You're not blaming the wealth of your parents or the poverty that you came out from. You are taking responsibility irrespective of what is happening or what has happened in your life. Being at effect is the exact opposite. You blame everything. It's because of X, Y, and Z that you're not succeeding or you're not doing very well in one way or the other. Make sure that you're intentional and you are at cause and you are taking responsibility for everything that is happening in your life. Okay, and the next slide, please. Okay, thanks, Gosi. You're doing a good job. So what makes us that ordinary teacher? Are you just working for the sake of money? So just trying to be flash, just, what you're going to buy, what you're going to acquire. It's all about me, 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 me. I hope we know that we're not placed on earth for ourselves. We're placed on earth as disciples of God. We're not just placed on earth for acquisition. That's not why we are here. You are here even for others, over and beyond yourself and your family. So you can't work just for money. You have to work for impact. especially if you're an educator. You must work for impact and for the love of the job that you do. Okay? So the money is going to come because money is a store of value. And if you have value, people are going to call you up for the skills and the value that you have, and they're going to pay you for that. You can't just be there doing nothing and assume that you're going to have wealth. No. And it's a sin against God, actually, because God has blessed you with so many things. And if you don't use those skills, He's going to be like those talents, those people that He gave the talents and they didn't do anything with the talents that He gave them. The one that buried the talent, He took it away and gave it to the one that had 5 talents and had multiplied it to 10 talents. Remember that story in the Bible? So you just cannot work for money, because you can get an opportunity that will be beyond your annual salary just by being good. You can collaborate with people. I can imagine if I want to do certain things, maybe I can call Kosi because I like the way she speaks and it's her superpower. And I say, Kosi, can you help me do this voiceover? Or can you help me do X, Y, and Z because I know that you do it so well? This is what I'm able to pay. Does that suffice? You know, whatever the case may be. That's collaboration. Don't work just for money. Invest in yourself, build capacity, and the money will come. Now, if you are working just for money, it leads to a mediocre service. It will lead to ordinary service, and it will lead to reputational damage. They will know that you are the late comer. They will know you are the scruffy teacher. They will know that you're the one that cut corners, doesn't mark very well, doesn't sign when they mark, doesn't log out, doesn't do the right thing. I don't even know what those wrong things are. I'm even struggling to list them. Temper tantrums, getting angry, having conflicts in the workplace, all sorts of things. So I'm going to go to the next slide, please. Okay, so we need to think beyond our schools. We need to think about the country that we are working in. Even before we think globally, we need to think beyond. What can you do in your school that you will be unforgettable? What can you do in your school that you will be unforgettable? You can't just say, I'm teaching class two stars or 2B or whatever the name of your classroom is, and that is all. And then you walk into the school and you see that there are other issues. Maybe how the children register in the mornings, how they come in. Maybe there's an issue there, or maybe there's an issue with the way assembly is being run or something. Think beyond your classroom, beyond your schools, and know that whatever you are doing, you are creating impact and making a difference globally. Because the children that you teach are going to go to different countries. They're going to impact other children, and it's the seed that you have sown in those children that they are going to use to make a difference wherever it is that they go. Did you get that? You might have taught one child in Abuja. That child may come to Lagos and influence another child in Lagos. And that child may go to Singapore and still make a difference because you have sown a particular seed. So think beyond just your school, and think beyond, this personal development that we talked about, it's only when the training is free, or it's only when the training is paid for by somebody else. If you cannot pay for training for yourself as an educator, then you don't love yourself. You don't value yourself. You must seek to learn and to know and to grow. You must have a budget and start putting money aside to say, I want to learn X, Y, and Z training. I want to develop myself in this area. I want to improve my classroom management. I want to take a course in it. I want to improve my leadership abilities, and I want to invest in a course. And my school is not on the list of training for this term or in the near future, but I still want to work on this. Can I buy a book by myself and invest in myself? Chokwaze says, wow, I'm having a rethink, especially about the blame game as an educator who provides solution, not blame game. Yes, absolutely. You must ensure that you are at cause. Being at cause is taking responsibility, because no matter where you are, even those that are incredibly wealthy, they have challenges, and we all have somebody to blame for whatever it is that is happening in our lives. You must build capacity. Last year, for those that connected me online, you would know that I kept talking about grief and a trauma that I had experienced in my life. The most challenging year of my entire life was 2022. If I hadn't built capacity in my spirit, in my soul, in my body, I won't be here speaking today, because what happened to me, it was devastating enough for me to just quit or even jump into the nearest lagoon and just end it all. But you must build something inside of you. And those things that you build, you build them over the years, even as you work. skills that I've learned, even from when I was in the banking sector many years ago. I'm still using those skills till today. I'm still developing my spirit, my soul, that's my mind, my will, my emotions, and my body. Doing my best, to ensure that my body is in good shape. Doing my best to ensure that I exercise, that I move. I'm not just eating junk food. Whilst it's tempting to just be a couch potato and watch some TV and eat all sorts of junk food, you must be intentional about what you consume as well, because it will affect your ability to even teach in the classroom. To stand up, to engage with the children, to have fun with them, to move them about, to be creative about your classroom, to move a particular class to another area so that you can have more space or outdoors. You might not be willing to do that if you filled yourself with so much sugar. Why don't you begin to think about, this year I'm not going to have any more sugar. We don't buy white sugar in my house anymore. We don't. I'm not done it for a long time. We use honey. Well, I use honey. My daughter can do without any of those because she has a cereal without sugar. I have my tea, and I used to be a big coffee drinker. And part of this change I'm talking about, that I also quit coffee. I love coffee. I used to have 4, 5 cups, 6 sometimes cups of coffee a day. I was a coffee addict. But is it good for me? No. Was it easy quitting? No. But did I do it? Yes. And you can do absolutely anything you want to do if you put your mind to it. You can. I lost about 10 kg. It was hard. But I still need to do some more. And it's part of the goals that I have for 2023. What are the goals that you have? You must not blame anybody, not even the society. Everybody may be running around, but look for opportunities in this Jackpot season where people are leaving the country. Don't blame Buhari. Don't blame school owners. If you are going on and on about school owners, and they do it a lot on Facebook. At some point, I even had to leave Facebook because it was smelling to me. As in smelling, because every time you go there, they're talking about one school owner that cheated somebody that didn't pay some salary, one blah 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 blah, and it just revealed the level, the mindset of the people at that particular point in time. So I encourage you to not blame anybody. If something has happened, just say, okay, it has happened. I can't do anything about it. There's even this quote that you might know where it says, God give me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the grace to change the, I'm quoting it in a very random way. Maybe I should just open my phone right here and get the actual quote. Let me see. Okay, let me use my audio. God give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Let's see what it brings out. Yes, I've got it. And it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So if you can change it, ask God to help you change it. If you cannot change it, just accept it. What happened to me last year, I cannot change it. And it was difficult to accept, but God has given me the grace one day at a time to accept it. And the courage to know the difference between what you can change and what you cannot change. You might not be able to change the leadership of your school. So you have to accept it and make a difference regardless. I hope we get it. So, Nigeria is depending on you. Don't think there's only your family that is depending on you. We all need to rise up and make a change. There's no one president that is going to change Nigeria. There's no 100 people in leadership that are going to change Nigeria. It is you and I, everybody doing their bit to ensure that the country is better. Training your children not to litter in the classroom or around the school. That is already setting something inside them so that when they even leave the school, they know that they don't drop things. Right up until now, sometimes you check my handbag and you will find maybe something wrapped out to maybe one of my cereal bars, and I would have put it in my handbag because I don't know how to drop things on the floor. And if I can't find a bin, it's going straight in my bag. And when I get home, I can put it in the bin. You won't find me throwing it on the floor, no matter what, because it's just not what I do. You won't find me weeing on the road. Why? So we must ensure that we collaborate with people home and abroad. Collaborate with people home and abroad. Belong to good groups. Don't belong to groups that are going to disempower you and make you worse. make you not do the best. You can be in a group when there's a lot of bad energy. Before you know what's happening, you will absorb the kind of things that they are doing in those groups. You want to become, especially these WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups. If you see that it's toxic, get out of there. You want to be in a group where you are learning, where you are contributing, and you are making a difference in those groups. And in doing that, you make a difference. Don't be one of those people that are just there, not doing anything. A lot of teachers are downloaders, and they'll download lesson plan, download video on YouTube, download. What are you uploading? Is it not human beings, teachers like you, that are uploading all those content? Which content are you creating? 2023 and beyond, you should become a content creator. All, if not most, teachers should be content creators, because you're teaching, you're giving content, you're distributing content all the time. So why is it that you don't have content to give? You don't have content to share. Everything you want to do is download. You want to teach family, you are downloading. Everything downloading. What do you have? When Kosi told me to speak about intentional teaching, I saw the topic. I said, oh, something I can do, not a big deal. I didn't even create my slides. I just went to my archives and I saw Start Teacher. Start Teacher is something I told you I've done many years ago. I just changed all the words called Start Teacher to Intentional Teacher. And I made my notes. These are my notes, the new things that I wanted to add to the slides. Boom, boom, boom. And it's already done. I did it last night. And that's why I was like, I stayed up last night to do this thing. If this thing does not share, I'm going to be really, really mad. But thank God, Kosi came to the rescue. Okay? So let's go to the next slide, please. And I'll be rounding up pretty soon. So collaborate with your school management and think about succession. A lot of schools, private schools especially, are individually owned, and whoever is leading it cannot lead it forever. Their children may not be able to lead it forever. And even if they do, they will still need people in leadership. They will still need people to understand the culture, the values, the mission of the organization, the vision of the organization. Why don't you partner with them, collaborate with them? It's in the day-to-day things that you do. It's not in the one big act that you do, but the consistency that will make them consider you when it comes to succession. If you're jumping from school to school, who wants to give you anything to succeed? Who wants to? Because you will live in another 2 years. Your CV says sometimes go 9 months. You can't even make 6 months sometimes. And they want to make you part of their management or leadership. No, it can't happen. People keep thinking that there are no opportunities in the educational sector, but there are so many opportunities in the educational sector. You just have to be willing to do the work and be consistent and committed and be somebody that people know in your school or around your school. People like you and they can trust you enough to give you responsibility, and you will do it and you execute properly. You can collaborate with other schools. So if you're someone, like I've given that diction example, if you're someone that teaches handwriting very well and you have maybe an audio online course on whatever it is, an online course for handwriting, you can collaborate with other schools and they can use your videos. They can pay you a token and you're still in your classroom. Stop thinking about running around. Maybe that's the message God wants me to deliver to teachers that will listen to this today. That jumping around is not serving you. It is not serving you. You're still going to go and do the same work. Okay, they're going to pay you extra 10,000 on that school. Is that enough for you to move away? The challenges that you're facing in your current school, is it for you to build capacity, for you to be able to manage conflict, for you to be able to learn one or two or more skills and become a better human being when you overcome those challenges? Or do you run away at the slightest opportunity? Is that what you do? Just run away? So make sure we talk about ongoing professional development, training to bridge the gaps. We have challenges in the educational sector, but when there are challenges, I've already said that there are opportunities. Let's have the next slide, please. So I'll be concluding now, and I'm glad I'm concluding before 12, irrespective of the brief technical challenge at the start. When I conclude, I'm saying it takes a lot to be an intentional teacher. Remember that I said it's easy, but then I'm saying here that it takes a lot. So it's easy does not mean that you're not going to have to do some work. You will have to do some work. When you do the work day by day, it becomes a part of you and it becomes easy. It becomes easy to do well. So you must stretch yourself and commit to driving the change that you want to see in your classroom, in your school, in yourself, in your room, I like to give examples. I like to cry sometimes. I say, what does your room look like right now? What does your room look like at the moment? Where is your towel hanging? Is it hanging on the towel rack, or is it hanging on your door, or did you throw it on the floor on your bed? What is the state of your room? The state of your room is the state of your mind and is the state of your life. If your life is chaotic, if your life is a mess, and you will see it all around you. So do you have to use this time to declutter, to tidy up your room, throw away things, give away things, make your surrounding, your environment, make it very, very neat, make it smell fresh. You must self-care. You must look after yourself. You can't give from what you don't have. If you're all in a mess, your mind is in a mess, your room is in a mess, you don't even know what you're going to wear in the morning, you're going up and down, this and the other. That's what they're going to ooze out. Stretch yourself and commit to change. Stretch yourself. It's not going to be comfortable. You might have to stretch within your comfort zone, out of your comfort zone, but you have to stretch. Let us keep striving. Let's keep striving. And I thank you. I hope you'll be able to get some value from what I've shared today. If you do have questions, I'll be here to answer your questions. I thank you very much. And my live slide also thanks you very much. So we can show my live slide. I am done. Thank you very much, Kosi, the Educator Network. Thank you for all the work that you are doing in the educational sector. We see you, we love you, and we appreciate you. God bless you.